Hey y'all, it's Natalie here for Spiegel Mom Scraps, and today we are also doing a collab with Shadnee over this time period, and she sent me this adorable bag full of goodies. So I'm going to show them to you real quick. There's these wood veneer pumpkins, fall y'all with a little latte, and all these gorgeous little ephemera bits, as well as a really fun ephemera and embellishment little kit. That says twine and a turkey and a leaf and a couple of doilies and some orange tickets, as well as that bag. You better believe I'm going to be using that bag on a page. Thank you so much, Shadnee. I'm going to link down below to her store. I also have pulled out some of these sequin mixes from Spiegel Mom Scraps because I want them to coordinate with the photo up above. So you see lots of blues in there, but also some oranges and some yellow colors. So I pulled out a few. I think I settle on the Ancestry sequin mix here. So I'm using those all to new leaf dies. I'm showing you right there. I cut out the middle to create a shaker. I'm also using these Catherine Puller leaves, as well as this clear glaze embossing powder. And that little title piece is from Pinkfish Studio. So I'm going to create a wreath today. So first thing is I'm going to do these really large Catherine Puller leaves. I'm going to stamp them in distress oxides. And I chose chipped sapphire and let's see, what else did I do? A yellow color, sorry. And I went with wild honey as well. And that's supposed to be an orange color, but it actually ends up looking a little bit too close to the yellow color. So I'll go back in with crackling campfire later. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I've only stamped the veins of the leaves. I haven't stamped the actual background of the leaf because I want them to be crisp and white. So now I'm using this glaze-like embossing powder. And what it's gonna do is just create a very shiny, almost enamel look over the ink. And I used embossing powder here, but it almost looks like you use glossy accents over the image that you stamp. So it's super fun and it's really shiny. And then I'm just gonna run them through my die cut machine. And yeah, I have a bunch of really fun leaves that are bright and crisp white here. So now I'm gonna work on some shakers. So I cut out those all to new leaves that I showed you before, and I'm gonna just snip out the middle vein of that one leaf. So I basically just have an outline of a leaf, and that's gonna be the top part of my shaker. I'm going to use my ink blenders to color them. And so I'm gonna do two with that fossilized amber. That was the yellow color with fossilized amber. And since the wild honey ended up looking too similar to the fossilized amber, I did pull out the crackling campfire. So that's that burnt orange color there. So I'm just coloring the top part of the shaker. I'm going to leave the back part white because, again, I want to use a lot of that crisp white with the photos. Now I'm pulling out those little bits of ephemera from the Shadnee collab, and they are wood grain and they're little leaves and some berries. So I'm just gently tapping the wood grain piece onto my ink pad, and it gets nice and filled up with the color. And I just set them aside to dry a little bit. And I do all three of those colors that I used previously, the fossilized amber, crackling campfire, chipped sapphire. And then I'm going to stick them on top of my embossing pad once they've kind of dried a little bit and get them full of embossing ink. And then I put them all back on top of this card so I can dump all of the same kind of crackling glaze, shiny embossing powder on top of them. And it's just like a clear coat, but it just makes it look like you put glossy accents on them, but you don't have to sit there and wait forever for it to dry, because we all know that glossy accents needs a good 24 hours, right? So there was not a really great way to be not messy doing this. So I just kind of dumped the whole thing on there. And then I'm going to actually move all of the little bits over to a different piece of cardstock or cardboard, sorry, that just came from some packaging from a package I received, to use my heat gun on them. And because they're so small, they kind of tend to go away. So I tried to use the lower heat setting so I didn't blow them away, and that wasn't really getting the embossing powder melted. So I did turn it up and just kind of be careful. That's why I liked having this big piece of cardboard, so they can kind of blow around, but they still didn't end up falling off, because it does need a second to dry after you do melt the heat embossing powder, or you can kind of mess up the glazing look. But it doesn't take very long to dry. Just let it cool down, basically, is all it needs. So there you can see like how shiny they are, and I love that. Super cute. Like I said, I'm going to link down below to Shadnee's store in addition to my affiliate link for Spiegel Mom Scraps if you would like to grab some sequin mixes. Now I'm going to work on my shakers. So I have the background of the leaves and the leaf outlines, and then I'm going to get the clear acetate from the Spiegel Mom Scraps store, as well as this tearaway tape, the skinny kind. And I'm going to use the tearaway tape to just go around the outline of the colored part of the leaf there. And I like the tearaway tape because when I run off of the edge, I can just tear it away and then switch directions. And it is the quickest way that I know, besides using wet glue. And I don't want to use wet glue with the acetate because it's non-porous and it just kind of makes a mess. So the tape is really great. Although I do use it with the, when I'm making my shaker, but tape is always better, in my opinion, than clear glue, or than wet glue on acetate, just because it's less messy. So what am I doing now? I am, putting foam. So I cut out the same leaf out of like foam. And no, I was just putting the acetate on, but I did cut a clear leaf out of foam. That was the easiest way that I could think of to pop up all of these acetate windows now, and have them hidden behind the colored part of the leaf. So I stick that down. Actually, I did just use adhesive again because I just used the sticky side, and then I used the wet adhesive on the other side that I stick just to paper. So yeah, again, it's great to not use wet glue on non-porous acetate because it will work, but it'll just be really messy and take a long time to dry. So I fill up my little shaker window. I use a little spoon with the Ancestry mix, and then I make sure they're all inside, and then I just kind of sandwich on top the back of the leaf, which was just the plain white, after I go around the foam with that wet glue. And I did kind of have to work with these and make sure that everything was sandwiched. You can't fill up the shaker too full, or the background won't meet with the glue. So I did kind of smush them under like some heavy objects to make sure that they were nice and dry, but I'm loving the way those look. So I made 5 of those. So I decided that I want the inside of the wreath to be white. So I used that embroidery hoop to create a circle on the middle of the paper. This is a Pink Fresh Studio piece from the new Good Times collection, their fall collection this year. And I'm just using my white pen, and I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to cut a little slit on this circle, and then I will use my scissors to continue to cut out the circle. And I'm not great with cutting. It's a little wonky, but it doesn't matter because all of the leaves are going to overlap that border, and you won't be able to see that my cutting job was not spectacular. Yeah, I'm loving that. So I'm just going to set that on top of some white cardstock because, again, I'm going for that bright white look. And there we have it. I've adhered the white cardstock behind that blue paper. There are my 2 photos. I'm going to put this title there in the middle. I'm just going to place all of my stamped leaves, as well as those are skeleton leaves from Tim Holtz Sizzix collection. I cut those out in an orange color. Since the orange for the stamping didn't quite turn out orange, I thought that would be a good way to add an orange. And I use the Sizzix Precision background tool in my Big Shot to get those cut really well because they are very intricate and hard to cut. I'll link down below to that as well. So for the bigger stamped leaves, I did kind of fold up one end because I want to give a lot of dimension. So I only glued down like one side of the leaf, and the other side is kind of folded up. And then I just kind of stick the skeleton leaves in among there, and then I will kind of use the shaker leaves and the wood veneer to embellish. There's a lot going on this page. It's really busy, and I won't lie, it did take me quite a while to create, but I love the final product. And it's a picture of my boys at Thanksgiving last year, and some of their favorite people, which are their grandparents, and I don't get a lot of pictures with them. They're not as big of a picture-taking family as mine were, so I definitely like to get those memories scrapped, and they're special. So I'm just using wet adhesive to stick the shaker leaves in among the stamped leaves and the other die-cut leaves, and then I'll go through with the same Nuvo adhesive to stick down the wood veneer. Oh, before I do that, I am going to use the pop dots from the Spiegel Mom Scrap Store to pop up the photos, just because they need that additional little oomph as well, since the leaves are so dimensional and everything. We don't want to get the photos lost among all of the leaves. And I decided to also pop up the title as well. So I did use those pop dots in the back of that little die cut ephemera piece from Pink Fresh Studio. And there it goes, right in the middle. Loving it. I like that pop-up blue. I think it's a really fun way to include like a maybe less typical color in your fall layouts. And it just worked because that was the color sweaters that the boys were wearing. And yeah, I really love the way that navy blue looks. And navy blue and orange always look really great together too. Those were my high school colors growing up. But yeah, I'm just using Nuvo adhesive to stick all of the little wood veneer bits in amongst the leaves, just spreading out the colors and making sure that they're evenly dispersed among the page. So I'm just going to add a couple of cardstock stickers, and that's going to kind of be it. I add one here onto the photo, and then I also write a label to say what day it was. It was Thanksgiving for last year, and so I stick that in among the leaves as well. And then that's going to call it a layout. This one was super fun to make. Lots going on, lots of different techniques, but it is a favorite of mine, actually, so I really like it. So I'm going to link down below to the Spiegel Mom Scrap Store. So I use the Ancestry sequin mix here. And I will also link to Shadnee Store. Thanks so much to her for doing this collab with us. And I will link below as well to the other things that I mentioned in the video. Thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'd love it if you like and subscribe. Bye, y'all.